Hey everyone, ChaosGiga here, and in today's episode we're going to get started on the industrial farm for the sugarcane. So, basically what I'm going to start with is a stone block. Well, first we're going to build up a little bit because down here is where the hopper is going to be, the first hopper, if you will. But we'll go ahead and put a slab in there for now. And this will be where the first power track will be at for our rail car system, basically. I'm going to knock that out. I'm going to leave that stone there, but the bottom one we're going to pick back up, so we can do this. Alright, and we'll just continue this over. So that's 2 tracks, a space, 2 tracks, space, 2 tracks, so that's 3. 4 and 5. Evil sheep. Okay, and basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna just go through here and do 5 slabs to each power track. So I've got 5 here now. I'll swap over here and I put a power block. And that's where the power track will be at, so, or powered rail, basically. And I'm gonna do actually rows of these. What are you doing up here? Get down. No, get away. Go. What is wrong with the pig? I'll have pork for dinner. I ain't scared. I don't know what's wrong with the pig, but anyway. So basically it's a 2x2 system for the railcart system. So I'll come back after I've got all these built, the length I want. I can explain the length though, I've done the math. There's 16 red blocks. That's not including the first one for the railcart, but the end of this will be 2 redstone. So that'll be the 16th redstone block for each row, if you will. So it's 5 slabs to 1 redstone block. And obviously this is the system that's going to be underneath. So all this dirt and stuff that's underneath of us, I'm going to be actually having to terraform that down. But I just wanted to do this closer to the ground, just so I can enclose this in a building if I want to, basically. Or close the bottom of it in a building. Probably concrete or something later on. But I'll come back when I get this all done. I'll show you all 5 rows across. There's no point in me doing a video the entire time of me just laying this out because it is the most boring thing in the game, I know, from experience, especially when my brother and I were doing it together on his. But anyway, I'll come back whenever I got all this done. Okay, so we're back and I've actually gotten it all the way done. So as you can see, like I said, the first section will be empty until we get the hoppers out, which is not actually going to be the next thing. The next thing is going to be these other rows off to the side, which are actually right here, I believe? Yeah, they're up a row higher. So we do slabs like this in the areas between, and this is where the water sits, basically. So right here is where I'm going to have my rails going through. Which I'll do these slabs here first just because it makes it easier. I can just literally lean up against the slabs or whatever as I'm holding the shift key and go backwards much faster placing the rails by having these already in here. So get all these rows started so you guys can see exactly where they're going to be at. But basically it's in between each one of these rows of tracks we're going to have. The water's going to sit right here, and in between is going to be the sand. And that's obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's going to be 6 rows of these slabs, upper slabs, up another level basically. Because these are here upper slabs that tracks sit on. So this system is really hard to do with water buckets. So I will show you why I chose to do ice blocks. It's actually based off of Mumbo Jumbo's design. So thanks to him for this kind of setup. Because that's basically where I got this from, or at least for all the farms that I've been doing with this setup, is Mumbo Jumbo's setup. But it's kind of different. I'm sure I do some of the wiring different. It's probably a little bit more difficult the way I do the wiring compared to his. His is probably a lot easier to understand. I'm still kind of new to it, so I'm just trying to figure that out on my own. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and fill these in, and then we'll come back. I think we're going to do the hoppers next after that. Yeah, we'll do the hoppers next after that, so that way we can lay the rest of the track down and all that stuff. So, I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, so we finally finished the sides here, all the way down. So now it's all connected. We got stone on both ends to where the minecart, hopper minecarts will bounce off of the stones or stop at the stones. It'll bounce off of that end and then come back to this end, and this is where it'll stop because it won't be activated unless the redstone is activated. So let's go ahead and place our hoppers down. That's the next step. I'm just going to stick them down facing down towards the block below them right now, which might be kind of difficult considering we don't have blocks there, but yeah, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to. But anyway, that's how you're going to have the first two hoppers on each end, is facing down, because they're going to actually go into another hopper, which leads into a dropper, which is facing out this way, to spit out the items, or the crop, if you will. So that's basically how we're going to set that up. And then, after that is done, let me get back up here. I will show you exactly what we have to do now, which is actually very, very simple. So on the hoppers, hold shift and we'll place down a powered rail, and then we'll pull out regular rails on all those, and then a powered rail per each one of these. So these right here are already turned on. They'll always be turned on because they're on top of the redstone blocks. Obviously the ones back here won't be powered on until they're activated by the redstone that we're going to have back here. But this is how we have to do both of these, and neither one of these are connected to each other. They're both their own separate tracks. So yeah, but you'll see that once I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and lay out the track and all the hoppers. I'll probably do some terraforming after that is done to go ahead and complete this system at the end. And I'll just have cobblestone steps to get up here and continue on with the glass enclosure and stuff. So I'll come back once I've got all this track laid. Alright, so we finally got all the tracks in, as you can see, all the way down. This stuff actually does take a while. This is probably the most boring portion of the farm, is just doing all these slabs and putting the tracks in. Because you got to be careful how you put these tracks in, because every once in a while, if you try to put these two beside each other, they'll curve into one another. So that's why I always just wait till I get to the power track. Place the power track down on the other one, and then just go backwards from where I left off on the one side, and then just go back forwards and repeat the same thing again. As you can see, I've already done some terraforming down here. I got the land moved down a little bit, so we can start our secondary hoppers, which will lead into our droppers. So yeah, so that's right there. So that's exactly what I wanted, because it makes it easier on me. So all I have to do is place the droppers and not do it that way. Just place the droppers below where they're going to be at anyway. Wow, how did that happen again? Okay, there we go. And now all I got to do is just hold shift, place the hoppers down in there like that. On the bamboo farm, my brother and I figured out that in order to have 0% loss, or at least less than 1% loss, is to put a hopper minecart where this hopper right here is. This has the same setup as the bamboo farm too, so, or at least the bamboo farm has the same setup as this farm. And basically, you just have this regular hopper going into the dropper, like normal, but you have to push down this hopper minecart inside of a glass block, or push the glass block into the hopper minecart. How do you do that, you wonder probably? Is you place a rail on top of the a regular hopper like so, So like the hopper that's below, you place the rail on top of that one, place the hopper minecart on top of that rail, put a block on either side of that hopper minecart so it doesn't move, then destroy the track from underneath of it, place the glass block on top of it by going over for some blocks on top of the minecart, and then place a sticky piston onto that glass block. Or even a normal piston would actually work too. But anyway, just place a piston on top of it, power that piston to push down the block, the glass block if you will, and then just destroy the piston and the power source to it. And then there you go. Simple as that. I'm sure eventually I'll have a video on doing that myself anyway. So anyway, that's the dropper system for right now. Gonna have to go sleep probably and then come back out here and show you guys the observers. Okay, so now we get to move on. I had to dig this down one more. I thought I did something wrong. I had to go back and check in my brother's world to see what I did, but basically I got to place one stone in behind each one of these droppers, and that's where the comparator is going to sit, which then will allow us to... I believe I have to be behind it. Yep, that's the only way to get the comparators on there right, is to be right behind it. So let's do that. Basically, we're going to have each comparator facing into these droppers so that when an item gets sucked down into the dropper, the observer will notice it. Okay, so now we have to have these pistons facing up, sticky pistons, 10 of them. And then we want observers facing that way. Not like that. I might have to actually terraform this back a little bit further just so I can fit them on there, but basically we want an observer facing out, so like that, and an observer facing inward towards it, so that way it will activate the dropper. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But I'll at least get these laid out and then we'll test it out real quick. This is the easy way to put them down. Put the comparators down first, then put them on top of them. It's the ones on the sticky pistons I'm going to have a problem with because of all the dirt in the way, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna have to knock some more of this dirt out, so I'll come back when I get that done. Okay, that didn't take too long, so here we go. And that's the way it should be looking. Just like that. There's no extra redstone involved. This to me is like the most simplest setup for this, because literally all I have to do now is put some dirt in here. As you can see, each time the comparator goes off, it's going to spit out dirt. So, to me that's the simplest system. If there's a simpler system out there, you guys could let me know in the comments below, but this is the setup I use on the end of the farms just because it seems to work more efficiently, especially even if you have a hopper minecart dropping into this hopper here. It seems to work more efficiently for me. So, next thing I'm going to do is start enclosing this in glass and putting some sand down, I think that's the next step. So I'll catch you guys later after I get done with that, or at least get started on it. Okay, so we're back. Basically, I wanted to reiterate that this right here is not finished yet. We're still going to have to dig this down a little bit further for the system that's going to catch all the items that come out of these droppers. So there will be like a little ice path with water on it that goes that way, but so just so you guys know, that's not done yet. But up here, what we're going to start with is I'm going to skip this first block where that power track is because I haven't put the hopper mine carts in yet, and we're going to go ahead and place our sand blocks. So basically they're going to go up and hover above the tracks. This is the part that I said was going to be the hard part because with water buckets, because if you use water buckets, you have that slim chance of it going below the block, because the half slab sometimes shows up transparent. Don't know why, it just does that sometimes, I guess. And it'll go down and destroy all your tracks that you just laid. So, yeah, it's a pain in the butt to deal with. But anyway, I'm gonna first, before we get too far at the sand, that's gonna be the easy part, putting the sand all the way down, because it'll hover over the tracks as long as the tracks are on the slabs there. And we go all the way down to that block there, and I'll actually show you at the end what it looks like down there. But basically, it's going to cover up the entire space, the empty space above the tracks. So for here, we're going to place our redstone early, just to go ahead and get this section started. So it goes all the way that way. We don't have to place redstone in this last block here, because we're just placing this redstone to power these blocks up. I do realize that at some point in time there will be a repeater here. I just can't remember where it's at, so just keep in mind there's going to be a repeater in one of these slots in the center, not where the track's at, because if you put it where the track's at, it's not going to power that track. So just keep that in mind. And basically, I just want to place this down right now so we can place these droppers. Why am I placing droppers on top of this? Because it's an immovable block. It does not matter which direction that immovable block is facing, up or down or sideways or whatever. We just want it to face, or just be there, because it's going to prevent our flying machine from grabbing a hold. Let's see, and I think we do have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Is that right? Yeah, I do have to place one more here. Just like that. Okay. And now, come over here and put another layer of them, basically. So we have to have 2 layers of immovable blocks on this side. We have to have one on the other side. And then once we get the glass walls put up, we'll have to put an immovable object, or another one of these, if you will, where the observers will run into it, so that way the flying machine gets stopped. Okay, and that's going to be basically it for this portion of the farm. I'll come back when I get done laying the sand down, and we'll start working on the glass. So, catch you guys then. Alright, so all the sand's put in, except for the part at the beginning where we're getting ready to put the hopper minecarts in. Basically, at the end here, we stop right here, and then we put a layer of glass in, and on top of this layer of glass, which we'll go ahead and do this real quick, will be the droppers. So we'll have some more droppers on top of these. So basically, glass goes in here like this. And we place droppers on top of it like that. And that's just a solid block that can't be moved by the flying machine once again. And basically all we got left to do now is place in some glass and get the water in. So basically this glass layer will expand out to the side here, and we'll have our water in the middle of this. So I'm basically just going to surround this entire build with glass to hold the water on the outside in. And the reason why I use glass is so we can see what's going on. And in these troughs will be the water, obviously, which I'll use ice blocks, and I'll show you guys how to do that. And on top of the water blocks, or the water sections, we'll have the leaf blocks, which I farmed from jungle trees. And the reason why we're doing that is to make sure that the crop does not drop down into the waterways, so that way it can be sucked up by the hopper minecarts underneath all this sand. So basically I'm going to go ahead and work on enclosing this entire thing with glass on the outside for a couple of layers, I believe, and then once I'm done with that, I'll kind of give you guys a little bit of a show around of it, and then after that we'll move on to the next portion, which will be putting in the water blocks. Obviously down here we're going to have to put in a glass block in between each one of these sections, and I believe, if I recall, I can't place a crop here, but I place sand blocks here anyway just to cover this up, so that way the crop doesn't get lost back in this area here. So I'll put a glass block in each section here, across here. Because obviously we can't have water going back through here, because that'll get to our redstone and into the tracks. Well, it'll get into the redstone at least in the back there, so we don't want that. And then I'll come down here below and put glass blocks down like so to protect again the redstone, but also to prevent the crop from going back into that section there when it's being pushed out and shoved into the wall here. Because this is where the flying machine will be hovering at, it's right here, so. And then right here is where our redstone will come in. So we'll leave that as an empty hole for right now and just start adding on to the glass around the outskirts of the entire build. So I'll come back when I've got all that enclosed, and I'll come back with the ice blocks and show you guys how I'm going to do that. So I'll catch you after that. Alright, so we're not quite done with the glass yet. I had to skip this first section here because of the fact that that's the only way I can get up here right now. So I'm going to fix that by moving the cobblestone staircase out a little bit. But before I do that, I wanted to show you guys that I'm actually putting the minecarts in now, how I'm going to do that. So basically I will put the minecart down like that, just hovering over the track obviously. So I'll put both those down, and then I'll grab my sand blocks and just go off the other sand blocks there. Pretty simple, straightforward, so I just wanted to show you guys how I was going to do that real quick, so that way you guys could see that that's basically how I do it. I'm just placing the minecarts in there, and we'll worry about them moving later because we can obviously see them from down here on the side. So I'll come back when I've got all that done and the glass enclosed in, and then we'll start on the water. Okay, so we've slept. We got all the minecarts in, all the sand's down. We're going to start placing these ice blocks. So basically what I do is use the use button to place down the ice block, and then you can just break it and it forms a water flow. And then right after that, wherever it stops flowing, I'll skip up to 3 blocks, place another one, and repeat the process. And that gives us a really good flow of water to help the crops grow. And then the other thing that we'll do is we'll come through here, just like so, and we'll place leaf blocks, just like that, across the top of the water. Not in the water, because that would just break the water source, and then we wouldn't be able to plant our crops, or at least have crop growth. So that's basically what we're going to do through all these sections in the center here that are left open. It's actually really simple, and it's a lot easier, in my opinion, to use the ice blocks than it is to use a bucket, because every single time I've tried to use a bucket, my luck has been terrible. And I think Mumbo also stated the same thing in a video when he was doing this kind of farm too. My luck is I try to put it on the slab right down in here, and it goes down below the slab and ends up tearing up all my tracks, so I don't like using it. So just FYI, if I were you, I would use ice blocks. Just regular ice blocks, not packed ice, because packed ice will always be packed ice apparently. I believe. I'm not sure. I've always just had packed ice whenever I use a silk touch pickaxe, because I've always used a silk touch pickaxe on ice. Haven't tried anything else other than that. But that's basically what I'm going to do for this next part, and then after that we'll get to work on the backside and top side catching system where the crop's going to get pushed off by the flying machine. I got to do some math and figure out exactly where that's got to be on this end. On the other end, it's pretty simple. It's just right after that drop-off point there. It's a 3 blocks wide, I think. Well, anyway, I'll come back whenever we get that far, and then I'll start building that on the video, actually.